What's up? How's everybody doing? I'm Cassandra, Bodzak, holistic lifestyle guide. I help people use the technologies of food, meditation, and self-care to reach a new level of being. And I'm excited. I do vlogs all the time, as you guys know. And today I want to talk about something that's really important to me and has been coming up with a lot of my clients and even with myself. And that's really owning your truth, standing in the power of your own voice, and really unapologetically sharing. And I think this is such a big topic right now because we're at a point on the planet where we're more connected than ever, but we're also receiving more feedback than ever. And so while it's great because you can, reach people all over the world on your Instagram, you can you can Snapchat your entire life or, whatever you're doing, you're also putting yourself out there for more feedback than ever. And that can be really intimidating, especially if you're starting a spiritual path or, you want to be a life coach or a mentor or a writer or, you want to share your story with people. It can be a little scary. And there are certainly a lot of people out there that don't make it easy. But that's why I think this video is really important, because I wanted to share with you two things that I always try to keep in mind when I'm feeling self-conscious or when I'm feeling, hesitant to share my truth. And one is that no one can take your story from you. I personally believe very strongly that we were all given these very curated, specific adventures for this lifetime, so that we could share them. We all have our friends, or different friends who, maybe one will always have like funny stories about her boss, or the other one will have always great like travel stories, right? I don't believe this is an accident, right? I think we have these little experiences so that we can share them in whatever way we feel called. So if you're watching this video, if you're, following me, chances are you're a light worker. Chances are you're embarking on a spiritual journey or a wellness journey. You might be an entrepreneur. You might be thinking about being an entrepreneur, being a life coach or a health coach or a blogger or a writer. And all of this really involves sharing our unique story. Because here is the thing, none of us, who knows who's watching this, but let's just say, none of us are Buddha. None of us are, any like Moses or whoever you want to think, right? We're human. And we're, not that they weren't human, I don't mean it that way. I'm sure you guys know what I mean. But we're here to teach from our stories, right? We're here to, and I truly believe that it's our stories that heal. It's our stories that help people. And when you're sharing your story, when you're sharing your personal experience, then you are in your truth. You're not making that up. That was the experience, right? And I know, something that I don't know if a lot of people talk about, but I am totally aware and want to address that there is, some sort of like kind of, whatever, the spiritual police or whatever you want to call them, right? And people that think they have a right to say who's saying this is true and that is not true and all this stuff. And I guess they have a right to their opinion, so it's whatever. But for me, I think if you're sharing your truth from where you're at, then you're going to help someone that needs to hear it from where you're at. So don't worry if you're not an enlightened master right now. None of us are enlightened masters, right? But so the way you're approaching things now, and maybe how you're approaching a stressful incident right now and how you approach a stressful incident 2 years from now will be radically different. And you'll, 2 years from now, you'll look back at the, blog post you made or whatever about how you handled that stressful incident and be like, wow, maybe I could have handled it even better, or whatever. And I hope you don't, because I hope you don't go back and judge your former self like that. But I'm just saying that because so often we get caught up in not sharing our truth because we're waiting for some sort of like spiritual mountaintop. And so we shut off our voice and we don't express what's true for us. And I just want to remind you, and I think one of the most important things to remind you is that your story is true for you. You know, if you're simply sharing an experience of, hey, X, Y, and Z happened to me, and, you know, this is how I was dealing with it. Or, you know, my day was going one way, and this is how I turned it around. Or, you know, I started doing this morning routine, and what do you know? I'm feeling more energized. I feel more peaceful during the day. You're just speaking your experience. You're sharing your story. And so you can't be wrong, right? Because it's true for you. And I think that gets in a lot of people's head, right? They don't want to share because they're worried that it's not perfect enough, right? That it's not, they're not wise enough yet. And it's like, you're sharing your story. It's okay. People need to hear that, which brings me to number 2, which is equally as important, is that your story heals. Your story helps. People need to hear what's going on for you. You know, when you feel called, you know, you don't have to tell people like every single second of the day what you're doing, but although some people do on Snapchat these days, right? But what you can do is when you feel really called to share something that's coming up for you, that there's a reason, there's like an urge to share, and instead of blocking it, realize that if you're feeling the call to share, then there's someone that needs to hear it. And I just did a Periscope on this topic, and I posted an Instagram earlier on something kind of similar, and both times there were 2 or 3 people, you know, like 2 or 3 people out of, you know, all the people that said, you know what, this was exactly what I needed to hear today. And that brings me back to feedback and why we should be more unapologetic about sharing our stories, right? Because it's so important. To me, the fact that those 2, 3 people, and this happens, you know, whenever I post something, right? To me, it's more important that one person, at least, from my post, reads it and is like, wow, it has a shift in perception, has a shift in their day. Maybe just doesn't feel as alone, right? And that's worth everything. And that can only come, you can only create that relationships when you share your truth, when you share your story, when you let people know what's going on with you and how you're navigating it. Because that gives someone else not only the permission to admit that that's going on for them too, but perhaps some insight on some helpful tools on how to look at the situation a little bit differently. Your story could be someone's miracle. And so I can't stress enough how important it is for you to share when you feel called to share, for you to put it out there. And you know what? There might be people that, you know, might not be their jam, and that's okay. You know, your story is not for them. Your story is for the people that really need it. And so I hope this video really inspired you to get more confidence, own your voice, share your story. And I encourage you to leave comments below and let me know when this is blocking you. Let me know when this comes up for you. I'm also going to include a link to my friend Gabby Bernstein's amazing video on her 3 tools for really owning your voice and standing in your confidence, especially if you want to be a spiritual teacher and a light worker in this world. So I hope that if you're watching this and you resonate with it and this is the topic that is really, you know, potent for you right now, that you'll click that link and get her video series, because I know it's just going to really help you shine bright, my loves. So I will talk to you soon. Bye.